Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Paul, and in this RedGamingTech.com video, we're going to be discussing and analysing tech news which, as usual, has popped up in the past 24 or so hours. And we're going to kick things off with an update to the third generation Threadripper platform from AMD, along with a second platform which will be accompanying it, and that is for a workstation type of usage scenario. This information comes to us via gamersNexus.net. I will link their article, of course, in the video description. And this serves as additional evidence to things that we have covered on the channel over the past couple of weeks. So the information gamersNexus has received comes to them via a source which not only told them the information but also provided them some documentation. So let's quickly go through this. So there are two platforms which the source has told gamersNexus about. The first of which is TRX4, which is a HEDT platform. The second of which is SWRX8, which is a workstation platform. This ties in extremely well to several leaks we've seen, including the USBIF website, along with other anonymous sources which have posted online. One thing we don't have here, unfortunately, are the number of threads or the number of cores which are on the platform, but we'll get back to that with my thoughts on this. The cache information is exactly what you would expect, 512 kilobytes per core, which is identical to what we've seen with, let's say, Zen 2 in other forms, so that's what you would expect with level 2 cache. Level 3 cache, unfortunately, is not provided, because that would actually give us a semblance of information regarding the amount of cores on the processor, of course. We also see 4-channel memory for the HEDT platform, which runs at 3200 MHz, which is, in terms of clock frequency anyway, what you would expect for Zen 2 and its improved memory controller. Meanwhile, the workstation platform has 8-channel memory with the same clock frequency, and both support ECC. Regarding the memory channels, we have 2 DIMMs per channel with the HEDT platform, and with the workstation platform we have 1 DIMM per channel, which makes sense with 4-channel and 8-channel memory respectively. 256 GB per channel capacity also makes sense. Another major difference is the HEDT platform supports overclocking, whereas the workstation platform does not support overclocking. And the other major discrepancy, is the number of PCIe lanes. So we have double the number of PCIe lanes for the workstation, 128 lanes of PCIe 4 and 32 switchable to SATA, whereas the HEDT platform has just 64 lanes, with 16 of those lanes switchable to SATA. Now, this information really does tell me that we will see a different core count for the HEDT platform versus the workstation platform. You might recall that after the USBIF leak, which is where we saw evidence that there would be different chipsets from AMD designed for the high end, there was also anonymous posters on the internet that told us we would see a Threadripper platform which would be aimed at the same usage scenario essentially we have Threadripper for now, but also a workstation type of usage scenario as well, and this would be marketed as more a pro type of platform. And if you think about it, just logically speaking, 4 memory channels is almost certainly not enough to feed 64 processor cores. That's a lot of memory. That's a lot of memory bandwidth that you're going to require to feed that amount of cores. Imagine trying to do something like heavy virtual machine work and doing other things, just really hammering 64 processor cores. It just doesn't make sense to me that we're going to see only 4 memory channels there. On top of the only 4 memory channels for the HEDT platform, all of the leaks we've seen thus far, the engineering samples that have popped up online for Sharktooth, are only up to 32 cores. 64 threads. So it's possible that we haven't seen higher core count variants leak online yet. Maybe AMD haven't manufactured them because they're still testing, whatever other reason. But I would say at least it's circumstantial evidence that we will see that division in core count with 32 cores for the 4-channel HEDT platform and 64 cores for the Workstation platform, which has once again 8 memory channels. Because if you think about it, the 3950X contains 16 cores, and obviously that's just dual channel memory, whereas essentially we're doubling it for the, I'm just going to call it for the sake of this video, TR3 for the HEDT platform. So Threadripper 3 doubles it. We have 32 cores in theory. Obviously that's not confirmed. I'm making definitely a bit of a leap there, giving the memory channel information. But we have double the processor cores, we have lots of additional PCIe lanes, and it just kind of makes sense from a performance and pricing standpoint. Otherwise as well, you're asking users to potentially be paying several thousand US for a 64-core Threadripper processor. I just don't really see, I just don't really see that making any logical sense. I personally believe that we're going to see AMD segment the market a little bit and basically have different products for different usage scenarios. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the prices of this are and what the actual marketing for this is. So you might recall when I kind of like one of my earlier videos, I believe it was around the February, March, maybe April period. I believe it was around March. I released a video that said that I had been told it was 16 cores for the AM4 platform. This, I definitely know it was after I leaked the July 7th release date for Ryzen 3000. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. The point is that marketing had at AMD was having a crisis because it wasn't really certain how to kind of market a 16-core processor at the company and then also have Threadripper at just 32 cores or whatever. Basically, it wasn't really sure how to market a 16-core processor and then kind of reconcile higher-end products for most people. So I guess this is what they've done, and this is also the reason they've made so many hires recently aiming at workstation type of users. Next piece of news, and it's a small update concerning Renoir and the VCN on the GPU itself. According to AMD, in a comment that was made on freedesktop.org, they have actually confirmed that the VCN block, VCN 2.x, is actually identical to that of the first generation RDNA GPUs. I'm going to read it out verbatim. It's a super short quote. It has the same VCN 2.x block as Navi 1X. This is according to an engineer at AMD themselves. So obviously that's basic confirmation. We'd actually seen several references on freedesktop.org in regards to the drivers that have been worked on by AMD, obviously, for the release of Renoir when it finally comes out. Just as a quick reminder, Renoir is using the 9th generation GPUs from AMD, so that is Vega. It is not using the Navi GPU. So anyway, it's basically that they have actually changed the VCN inside the card, so it looks like it's some type of hybrid in that regard. So Display Core Next will basically offer similar media encode as well as decode capabilities to the first generation of Navi for the APU. Last piece of AMD news for this video, and this concerns Zen 3 and its performance targets. So you might recall later part of last month I covered a piece of news that the clock frequency of Zen 3 is already faster than Zen 2, despite the fact that Zen 3 currently is only in engineering sample phase. Although the engineering samples are doing fairly well, and they are already able to run Windows-based code. According to one of my sources who has proven to be pretty reliable in the past, they've given me some information regarding GPUs, which has proven to be true. For example, he has learned that Zen 3 cores performance will be competitive versus Intel's Sunny Cove, although he doesn't know specifics exactly, for example, the clock frequency we will see out of the Zen 3 architecture. So I just wanted to throw that in there as a quick bonus piece of information. Next up, Intel are releasing a third iteration of its H310 platform. So you might recall that originally the H310 platform debuted back in 2018 and had a device ID of A303, and in process it was using 14nm. Unfortunately for Intel, we all know that its 14nm manufacturing capabilities have been hit with a stick, so what they did later on that year, once again 2018, is release H310C. It's essentially the same thing, albeit manufactured with a lithography of 22nm. So pretty much identical, just manufactured on 22. However, that is an update thanks to Momomo _US on Twitter, as he has discovered that there is a H310D, which would likely be using 14nm for its manufacturing process. The device ID here is A315, and most likely we will see a launch date of it this year. After all, Comet Lake is coming out late this year, but most likely early next year. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed today's video. If you did, then the normal stuff. Like, share, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.